Hi everyone, how are you doing? Hopefully you're all well. Final day of the Jamaica National Championships already in progress. A number of things happening so far, and yeah, looking forward to the 400 meters for women and men, senior women and men. That's coming up on the track in under 10 minutes. Shot put currently in progress right now. Earlier today, Jordan Scott won the triple jump recording 17 meters 15. That, however, was above the legal limit, 2.0, so it wouldn't count as an official uh, record for him, even though he has gone much further than that this year. Uh, he also had legal attempts at 7-11 and 7, yeah, I think 7-11 and probably, I think twice on 7-11, if I'm not mistaken. So, anyway, it's good to see that he's there. He's been having a fabulous season this year, Scott, that is. And, yeah, in a moment, we'll start to think about what will be coming up for the finals of the women's 400 meters. That should be on track relatively soon. I anticipate that the top three spots should go to Nikisha Price, Stacey and Williams, and Dejanay Oakley. So I think I'm going to go with maybe I'm not quite sure where Price really is. She started to look and come into her own, but nothing particularly spectacular yet in terms of times. Oakley, as many of you will recall, already going sub 50 this season with that creditable performance at the NCAA championships recently in Oregon. So yeah, looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll get some good times. I don't know what you'll get from the likes of Renisha McGregor. Uh, Joanne Reed is there, but I don't anticipate her doing anything of any really great times there. But she's been having a fairly okay season as well too, coming out of the NCAA as well. And for the men, just to really click on that, this is where you want to see some good times. Hopefully, we can get gentlemen approaching the standard for the World Championships, which we're looking at somewhere around 44.8. I'm not quite sure we'll get that, but we might. And it would be good if you get 2, 3 guys doing this, 4 guys doing this. That would start to increase your chances and make you think about whether or not there is opportunity for a decent relay showing. There's Rashid McDonald, probably find his way as usual. Uh, Powell, I anticipate, should run well. I like what I saw from Delana Kennedy. And then there's also the questions about whether Sean Bailey could do something. So a number of that will be coming up in a second. And yeah, we'll be here to kind of go through much of that. Appreciate everybody popping in on the live. Hopefully you're having a good Sunday so far. Probably approaching Monday in different parts of the world, depending on where you are. And yeah, thanks for joining as usual. Don't forget you get your thoughts in your comments. And yeah, looking forward to some interesting stuff this evening. We've already seen some under 18, under 20 action in women's 400 meters. But we're getting to a stage now where the women are going to come out relatively soon. We'll also get a chance to see sprint hurdles, and they'll probably go through. So after we get the 400 meters, they're going to go through a bunch of sprint hurdles for under 18 and under 20 girls, and then we'll get into the women's final, which should be a cracker as well. Yesterday we got a really good performance from Megan Tapper, so hopefully she can continue trending down. There's also interesting performances. Obviously, Akira Nugent has been really consistent this season, 12:30s already. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. It should be a cracker. Likewise, the men should also feature some good running. It's interesting. Yesterday, we also saw Hansa Parchment making his way into the mix as well. Usually, they're not quite at the level that he used to be, but you never know. He's a big time competitor. But we look to see what we get from the likes of Broadbell, Bennett, even Tyler Mason was looking fairly decent yesterday. So we'll see. Ferdinand, what's up? It's good to see you. Let me get to a couple of your comments there. Ferdinand has Nikisha Price with the heart sign. It's really good to have you on the channel. Hopefully everything is going well in South Africa. You guys still basking in the Test Championship win there. Well deserved. Ferdinand giving a greetings and shout out. Belmas, what's up? Good evening to you. Good evening to everybody. Very excited for, what will cap off what I think was a really good championships. There's some areas in which you always want to see some improvement. I'm still not particularly happy with the state of the 400 meters. And you hope, given time, people can get to that level. And this guy almost. There's an interesting incident here in the men's shot put circle. I don't know what happened to him. Oh yeah, he was in the mix of the spin and he lost the shot. I could have. Yeah, luckily no one got hurt. Yeah, so I'm not happy with that, but we are all happy with what we've seen over the 100 meters so far. We'll get to see what we'll see over the 200 meters. Hopefully Brian Level, Christopher Taylor. We'll see what we get there. The women, not so sure what's going on. Sherwood, how are you doing? I'm still waiting to see if we'll get anything out of the women. It should be an interesting final. I think Ashanti Moore should make some strides. Perhaps Jodine Williams as well. Yeah, we'll see what we get there. Kemba Nelson's there. It would be good if she could make a move and step up, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Lots of familiar faces coming through. Paulette, how you doing? Enough blessings to you as well. Ferdinand is saying we smash Australia in U20 World Cup rugby 73-17. So laugh at them. I didn't see this. I'm not a big rugby guy. So I guess you're on the roll from the Test Championships to rugby. That's pretty good stuff. Right. So what's your guys' take on the 400 meters? Give me a sense of your predictions. All in. Ferdinand says he has Nikisha Price winning. Could Dejanay Oakley pull an upset? I mean, she's in better form already, so I'm not sure if it would be considered an upset right now. Well, yeah. So yeah, the women are on the track right now. So we're getting into some senior action here. Just a few adjusting of the blocks there. Dejanay Oakley using our tape to make sure she has a right position where she wants it to be. Women's 400 meters, really interesting space as well. Extremely competitive at the international level. Like Paulino, NASA separating themselves with some interesting times. At the likes of Whitaker, Henrietta Jager too, just to name a few. But women's 400 meters, like seriously interesting space. And even Femke Ball running well. I'm not sure she'll do anything there. Aaliyah Butler, lots of talent as well. So already going 49-26 this season. So I think it's a space where you don't know. Even Irby Jackson's running well. So a bunch of women are in the mix for the 400 meters at the international level. And you never know. There's some might pop up too. The likes of Adelike may step up at some point. Amber Anning. It's really a competitive space. So you want to start trending down to low 49s entering into the 48 range, because it's possible that you could run 48 seconds and not get on a medal podium. It's that difficult these days. Yeah. So again, let me just give you the lineup if for those of you who haven't seen it. It's probably, let's get it there. So it's going to be Candice McLeod. She's been around for a while, not having the greatest of seasons the last few years. Joanne Reed, interesting athlete there out of the University of Arkansas. Renisha McGregor, who's also in the 200-meter final later on too. So that's going to be a quick turnaround. Leah Anderson, Dejanay Oakley, Stacey and Williams, who could find her way as well on the team, Nikisha Price, and Shaniqua Foote. Those are the women that will contest. Whatever it is, you hope that you get athletes starting to trend down. That could get a more competitive 4x4 team by the time you get to the World Championships. It's not going to be easy. You have the Dutch, you have the United States. You know, it's going to be a bunch of people. Yeah. Sherwood is saying Candice had surgery last year. I think what we're seeing is her trying to get back. Yeah, hopefully it is. Hopefully she finds her way back at some point. And speaking of even that too, when we were on the live last night, we were talking about even Rochelle Clayton pulling off that 400 hurdles. I didn't think that was going to happen. She was hurt earlier in the season, but you know, she found her way. National title again, and hopefully she continues to go in the right direction. All in the game. Netherlands ran 37.87. Madrid, Jamaica must qualify. Yeah, I saw that. I saw a bunch of interesting stuff in Madrid. Best two running what 22? Is it 22.19 or something like that? And a bunch of interesting stuff there. The Jamaicans will seek to qualify, I think, relatively soon, and hopefully they do it in the first outing, because that's really important. Yeah. All right. So the women are being introduced right now. Joanne Reed here. If All in the Game was in the live, he would say she should move up to the 800 meters. Candice McLeod looking good physically, so hopefully she will find back form. There's a really clean start there. This is kind of poor camera angle right now. Nikisha Price motoring down the backstretch. Also, Williams running well. Dejanay Oakley also moving. But it looks like Price and Williams here at the moment. Oakley also not making her move yet. I think that's Leah Anderson making a run. Now Oakley's starting to make an interesting move here. So it's going to be Leah Anderson off the curve with Price, Williams, Oakley out of it at the moment. Look at Price start to step on it. She's moving, but here comes Dejanay Oakley. She's going to pass Stacey and Williams. Your national champion is going to be Nikisha Price again. Flash time 49.93. Waiting for the official results. That's up right now. So the official time there from Price going sub 50, 49.97. Oakley there, 50.08. The same time given to Stacey and Williams separated by 1,000th of a second. It's really, really. I thought she clearly won, but there's no way I could have known that if she separated by that. And so it's Price, Oakley, and Williams. Williams had a gutsy run there. Dejani Oakley took too long for me. Leah Anderson came off really comfortable. She worked hard to get onto this stretch there, but just didn't have enough. Good form for Anderson completing there, but I don't think she had what it takes. Ferdinand says yes to Nikisha. That's good. I mean, I thought Anderson had a really good tactical run rather. I have to see it again. She came off well, but just didn't have anything. But she was looking relaxed. The form didn't break down until maybe the last 5 meters rather. So I don't know. It's one of those things. All right, so that's the team for the national championship. For the world championships. Anderson obviously will go, and then I guess they'll figure out the relay pool after that, whether they'll take Foot and McGregor or even Joan Reed. But Price trending in the right direction, going under 50 seconds. Oakley close again. Williams close. So hopefully Williams will continue and get better as the season progresses. Dejanay gets some rest again and then hit it by the time we get to the World Championship. So we'll see. All right, men's coming up in a second now. It's going to be Bovel McPherson, Shamar Uta, Barnes, Bailey, Sean Bailey, Rasheem McDonald, Javon Powell, Kennedy, Watkin. This is hard for me, but I'm thinking it's going to be Powell, Kennedy, McDonald, perhaps Bailey for fourth. It might be interesting. We'll see. Don't want to count out Barnes either. Ferdinand says Rasheed McDonald might call. It can happen. It could happen. He looked okay and he looked comfortable. Not okay. He looked comfortable in the opening rounds. It's just that sometimes you never know what you get from McDonald. It would be good if we can get athletes running sub 44.8 for sure. That would be nice. Yeah. Kennedy there on screen is trending down too as well. I think he has some talent there. Let me pop the chat out so I can see it better. McDonald being introduced, and then it's going to be Bailey Barnes. Jamaican men need to step up in the 400 meters. As you might recall, it's not only just making the team tonight. There will be some time by August 24th there to get the qualifying standard, but you want to get in the mix really early. 44.85 is the qualifying standard for the World Championships. That's just the first start. We're not even thinking about whether or not these guys could be competitive. But if you can get a good balance of guys running a decent 44, mid 44s, then you could have a good showing in the relay, perhaps like a fifth place or a fourth place there. It's not going to be easy. Well, I don't think they'll be competitive enough for a medal, but you never know unless you get a couple spectacular athletes doing something spectacular that could change things. But it's hard to look past the likes of the United States, Botswana, South Africa. I think if I had to pick those three teams, and then even Team GB, it's yeah. So a clean start right now. Everybody gone off. Just waiting for the camera to shift. Bailey's making a move. Is that Powell making up? Yeah, Javon Powell making up the stagger there on Kennedy. It looks like rather. Rasheen McDonald running a fairly comfortable backstretch at the moment. Powell is probably in the lead right now. So Powell's going to come off. And here comes Rasheen McDonald now motoring down the final stretch. He's going to win this. Delana Kennedy is coming really, really fast now. It's going to be McDonald. He's stopping before he got to the line. Quieting the crowd. An abrupt stop there from McDonald. 44.89 for him. Probably shouldn't have done that. But let me get those results up. McDonald wins it. Kennedy pips, more than pips. Powell was closing really well there. And so Javon Powell unable to replicate that sub 45. Kennedy going 44.91. Barnes 45.22. McDonald motoring there, looking really good. Kennedy's coming down on Powell. And then he eases down, which is not a good idea. Had he ran through the line, he probably would have gotten the standard. Yeah, I don't know if I like the way he stopped abruptly, but anyway, McDonald, national champion. Kennedy, 44.91. Powell, 45.08. Yeah. Kennedy, is that what? Sub 45 back to back now? So he came into the championships in good form. I like the kid. Ferdinand says, "Well done, my favorite." You made the right call there, Ferdinand. It's what, 2 for 2 now tonight? Yeah, that's in the end there, McDonald a bit foolish, I thought, to shut it down. Because he still needs a standard. So And from a world rankings perspective, I'm not sure where he is in the world ranking now, but we'd have to look on that. Let me see. What's up, Asir? How are you doing? Hello to you. How's it going? Vanzil said, "Did you see that? What you mean? You mean the 400 or I want to check the world rankings for Rashim. I don't know. Okay, right now McDonald is like number 69 in the world, so he better get that. He better get the standard, which he had there, which he's capable of doing. So perhaps when he lines up at our next meet, he'll probably do that. All right, so that's that for the 400 meters. Again, your team for the Tokyo Championships, assuming they qualify, is Rasheen McDonald, Delana Kennedy, and Javon Powell. The women, Nikisha Price, Dejanay Oakley, and Stacey Ann Williams, all of them are there already. They all have the standard. Get back to the comments. Don't forget to put the comments in. Will it be an unexpected result if Tapper defeats Williams and Nugent? I'm not sure if we should think about where Williams is. She doesn't have to win. She has the bye. I'm surprised she's still running. She ran a bit in 100 meters. So if Tapper defeats Nugent, perhaps because Akira ran, what is it, 12-3 already this season. She's been looking good. But I think uh Tapper made a really, really good, and Sherwood saying Danielle says she's not running the final. So yeah, thanks for that. Because I thought I heard that too, but I wasn't sure. I As for Tapper, she comes into the national championships fresh. She had pulled out of a meet and which me I think she didn't go to the Racers Grand Prix, right? Something like that. And so she looked fabulous yesterday. 12-5. I think she's making sure that she gets on the team. I think she'll get on the team, barring something catastrophic like injury or hitting a hurdle. So she should comfortably qualify. I think Akira is also thinking about the season in a special way. She has unfinished business at the international level. It was my gut feeling that she probably would have medaled in the Olympics last year, but it's one of those things. It's a tough competition, and it's one thing to lose because anybody can lose on the day when it comes to the hurdles. It's another thing when you crash into one of them and fall. So and that hurts a bit more, I imagine. So yeah, it's hard to say whether or not Tappa will win or Nugent. I think it's a I don't know. I It's a good question. I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised though if Megan wins. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ferdinand is asking, didn't Rashim McDonald make qualifying time on make last year in time? I don't remember. Let's see. Uh, No, because last year he ran 45:60. I think that was his fastest time last season. 45:60. So no. Yeah. So again, I think I'm gonna go with either Tupper or Akira Nugent, and then it's an opportunity for somebody else. Can Karika Hill do something? Very talented, and you're welcome, Vanzel. And we'll see. So currently in progress, boys triple jump for under 18 and under 20. I think will start soon, and then around 9 minutes from now they'll start the girls 100-meter hurdles under 18. Then they'll go to the under 20 girls, and so and then I think by 7:35 Eastern Standard Time they'll run the 100-meter hurdles for women. Then they'll go into some boys 110, then the men, and then we get into a series of 200 meters, and the night ends. So women's final for 200 meters at 9:05, and men 9:15. So there's competition there, but to go through. Asira says Yannick Thompson is my dark horse to make the team. It could happen. Yeah, it could definitely happen. She's all the way out there in lane one, so she has to run blind, but which sometimes helps. You know, maybe Amoy Brown is there too. You never know. Yeah, I think the third spot is definitely up for grabs. A number of these women from Brown, Thompson, uh, not Tapper will getting the top two for sure. Hill and Roswell. I think it's really up for grabs there. It's a really competitive lineup as well. You throw in a couple athletes that's out this year. You add a Brittany Anderson if she gets back after maternity leave, and you add Janique and a few other people, and you're looking decent there. Mindset, how you doing? Happy Sunday. I checked the qualifying time for men's 400 and it says 45:20. No, no, I think it's 44:08. That I did maybe it's a different one you're looking at. That's every year they change it. What year are you looking at? Yeah. There's entry standards for Tokyo Championships is 44:8, 85. Women 50:75. Yeah. Serious. So this meet should have been a good opportunity for Habiba Harris to showcase her talent in the hurdles. Yeah, maybe something went wrong. Long collegiate season as well. I think Habiba is, she has real talent as well. So I look, she has a long way to go. She's only 19, so I think it's not a it's not all bad, right? When you think about her trajectory, she turns 20 in September, so she has time. But yeah, already with what 1262. So yeah, I think Harris will be one for the future for sure. I'll share the link for you, Eileen, in case if I can find. I'll have to search for the Tokyo links again. Let me see Tokyo. All right. I'm getting a PDF of it, but I'll just yeah. Here's the. I'll just click the. I'll just share this real quickly and show it. I'll share. All right. So that's the entry standards for Tokyo. So as you can see, 400 meters, or where's 400 meters? Right here. 44.85, women 50.75. And this is from the World Athletics thing. Every year they change the entry standards, so it's not the same. Cool? No problem. No, it's all good. All good. Good to keep me on my toes. I was like, I know it's yeah, 48. Richie Poo, Rich Poo? What's up? I haven't seen you in a while. You know, uh, been a while. Jamaica can't afford a mass exodus of medal talent, but was I naive as to the values of pride and professionalism where Jamaican athletes was concerned? No, here's the thing. Yeah, you don't want a mass exodus. It's a difficult thing, and especially with athletes that are talented, right? It's a. I suspect people are less concerned if the athletes that leave any setup are ones that have a difficult time making a team. So if you are in an era where you just can't make the team, and every time you try you can't, and then when you leave and go to somewhere else, people might give you better blessings, I suspect. I don't know. I haven't done a feeling thermometer on on this, and I don't know if there's any scientific polls, but my sense, and I've talked to some people, and if you see different things, people are somewhat okay with it. There's some animus there as well, where people aren't necessarily happy about this. The thing that you have to think about here is what are the pull factors, or and in this case maybe what's the push factors, right? And then you have to certainly try to work through that. So I was, earlier this week I was having this long conversation with Leighton Levy on this, and we, he had written a new piece. I'm trying to remember the piece it was. Right. Yeah. So he had a piece called "What the JAA Didn't Say Loud Enough: No Strategy, No Solution, Just Sentiment." So I think he had some questions. I ended up writing a dissertation in response to him on a few things here. But one of the challenges that I see, and especially in sport and track and field, we know I often say it's a poor person's sport or a poor sport. And I don't mean to do it in a pejorative way, but it's just the facts of reality in terms of the revenue structures and so on. And especially once you move outside of the big personalities, when you move outside of the marquee events, the sprints, then earning a living is much more difficult. The pay structure isn't the same. Sometimes in cases where you might find a pay structure, the appearance fee structure is certainly not the same. And so that creates a bit of a challenge. Now, yeah, you're a man from the UK, right? And so one of the things, I was trying to think about, and because you guys have that lottery money that really, what's it called, the athlete performance award, the APA, that really supports athletes, and there's tier structures for it. You kind of need something like this in the context of Jamaica, right, to support athletes. You will never be able to support them at the level where, if someone really wants to throw a lot of cash, and if money is the only motivation, I suspect that money isn't necessarily the only motivation. It's a huge part of it. It's part of it's I think it's you run a regression analysis on this, it's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck on the on you know in terms of significance. But I don't know why I went down the statistical route. But the point I'm making is, you might be able to keep people if you can create a regular support structure and figure it up. And so the one way is how you do that. You need a program. It has to be standardized. It has to be clear. And then athletes know where they stand in terms of getting that kind of support. Two, here, how do you get it? Well, you have to leverage sponsorship. You have to leverage that sponsorship of the association, sponsorship through your kit sponsors, and things like that. And it's required. And then, that way you can start to help there. My understanding, and I don't know enough about this case, and I was talking to Leighton about it. There's this, what's it called in Jamaica, the Sports Development Fund or Foundation or something like that. It used to serve a broader portfolio, as he explained it to me, but I think it has been cut in half or more just to send the money. The money that used to go to it goes to a lot more stuff. So there's less money there, I suspect. But yeah, there's ways to do it. And so I'm not ultra critical of the athletes in that kind of way, because I don't know their personal situation. It's the first reaction is that you don't want to see it, but I I understand enough, and I know enough to realize that it's a hard thing to do, to be a professional. And I personally knew people back in the day who got money to leave and they didn't. I don't, I know I can't talk about it, but and I know people who did and they took it. And it's no secret, but you can, if you do the trajectory and the time period, you'll know where those people ended up. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's tough, right? And I think you can get to a point where, it's not, you don't have to support everybody. You want to support certain types of athletes. And let's put it this way. At some point, if you trend in a really good way, and you're that successful, even if you qualify for the funds, you could also think about it in the context of, I'll give it up, I don't need it, right? You could think about it like, if you had a structure and say Bolt was still running, he wouldn't necessarily need it. He could give it to somebody else, or Shellyan or Elaine or whoever that can command better support structure. Yeah, and I guess the next thing you probably want to think about, and I don't know how much of this you really have to do from a, I don't think you have to do it from a government standpoint, because I'm hesitant on that. Right, there's a role that they have to play, I suspect, in countries like Jamaica and small countries, governments play a lot more role, much more role in than in any other in other economies. But I think the association, there's a lot of issues there. I don't want to get on it right now, but I tell you, it's not straightforward in terms of how it works, and there needs to be a revolution in terms of the changing out certain things, and maybe way of thinking, and all that kind of stuff. Find that, figure that out, because you're losing some. You got to make sure that you don't lose any more if you can help it. So that's the way I would think about it. There's a lot of ideas, but we'll have to see. Let me get back to comments. Sure. And given that World Athletics pay gold medalists 50 a year, our JA paid 19. I was surprised to hear that our gold medalists from last year was so down on his luck. Right. So yeah, he would have, yeah, because last year World Athletics introduced uh payment directly to the athletes at the Olympics. And as you know, and I've been ultra critical of this, I got I should get what's this guy's name? Is slipping me. I have all his books when I teach this thing on the Olympics. His name is slipping me right now. The Olympics is a funny kind of structure. It's built on this amateurism, crazy idea. It's not a legitimate idea. And so for many years, they don't pay, and they still don't pay the athletes. They pay the association, and they have the Olympic Development Fund, and they think about it trickling down. But, the money that the Olympic guys make is outrageous, and the athletes get, very little if the associations don't find a way to put it back in the pockets of the athletes. I don't know exactly what Stoner's situation is, to be honest with you. I don't know much about whether or not he was struggling. I don't know if that was a thing. I mean, I understand the Campbell situation. Uh, I haven't seen anything about Roger in terms of whether or not he was in college still, and so there are certain things that's probably all you wouldn't have to worry about at that point in time. In particular, uh, you know, health related and all of that kind of stuff. And then at one point he was thinking about the NFL, right? So I don't know. You get it. Look. Track and field is not going to pay a lot of money unless you're a few. You're elite to the extent of you're demanding money off the track. Personality matters in that context, but we'll see. All right. Brianna Campbell there just winning this 100-meter hurdle is looking comfortable. I'm not even seeing it properly. Asira says any country that wants to poach athletes from other countries should pay a transfer fee to the country where the athlete is originally from. At 2 million an athlete. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point. Here's the number one issue. There are ways to move, right? And I don't think anybody should sit and never be given the opportunity to leave. So if you do it that way, so I understand what you're saying. There's people who change allegiance because they move, they live different places. They're like, I want to do it, and you can probably see it sometimes. If you go after them because you're trying to stack your international clout, that's a different type of thing. Yeah, and I don't know how you create value in terms of what the 2 million is or something like that. Ultimately, the politics of it is kind of interesting. People can hold it up, people can play around with it, but you don't want to do that. You never want to do that. The athletes will get resentful, and ultimately an athlete can still be a superstar if they can, and they may and not represent you if they don't want to, right? They don't have to show up to the national championships there. You can't. So that's the kind of thing. I don't know what the money might look like. I would worry if there are people who are purposefully trying to encourage people to leave, right? That would be concerning. My thing is, if this is happening, then what is the response to the associations, and how are you handling that? I get the sense that athlete relations is a let me be charitable here. I think athlete relations not so great when it comes to in the Jamaican context. And you probably need a full-time person to manage athlete relations. It's not a you have if it is the national sport, regardless of how much football you like. It is the and so they have to figure that out. Mindset says, did McDonald just throw away any chance to make the qualifying time tonight by showboating and slowing down. That's exactly what happened, Mindset. He he was fortunate that he didn't get run out of it either. He was on course by my reckon to run quite possibly a 49.7. But clearly something he was mostly concerned about responding to probably some heavy load of criticism he's been getting recently. So yeah, he missed that chance. He has to try and figure that out relatively soon. Hopefully he does get that opportunity. Yeah. So right now on track is the women's 100-meter hurdles final. That would be really interesting, exciting stuff coming up here. Yannick Thompson, Janella Spencer, Williams. I don't is the is the world champion, defending world champion. She has the automatic spot. She's not gonna be there. Then there's also so Williams is actually in Shamir Williams because, as you know now, you can the rules allow you if someone pulls out within a level of time, you could send somebody up back to the final. And then there's Roswell, Nugent, Tapper, Kerika Hill, Amoy Brown. I think it's going to be an interesting fight between Megan Tapper and Akira Nugent. I expect 1-2 there. And then it's anybody's guess for the next position. Let me get to a couple comments before the race starts. Rich Pooh says, if Rasheen McDonald got caught up with the moment, it reflects the Jamaica sports environment. I'm getting the feeling that our Jamaican athletes are more T20 operators than. I don't know. I think McDonald is an interesting guy. I wouldn't put that in that context because the idea of being franchise cricketers connotates something else. Don't get me started on this whole thing here. How I dislike franchise cricket. But people have to make money, so I'm not against it in that sense. But yeah. Seriously, how can poorer countries raise an athlete from the youth level to the point of winning medals only for that to be snatched by who pays for the investment? No, I think you're making a solid point. I'm not in disagreement with this, to be honest. Yeah, I'm definitely not in disagreement with this. So Tapa yesterday, 12:50. Let's see what she can do. She looked extremely brilliant yesterday, and it looks like she wants. I mean, she definitely the way she looked yesterday, she could go much faster than that. We all know Akira can run 12:30, and she was walking yesterday. It's a clean start now, and look at Megan Tapper. She's flying away. Akira Nugent right there, but she's leaving her for dead. Megan Tapper is going to be the national champion. Look at that. 12:31. Is that legit? Oh, it is. It's 12:34. My gosh. Megan Tapper is something special tonight. Look at that. 12:34. That's a big PB for Megan Tapper. And the win is 0.1. Amar Brown there, 12:67. Kerika Hill, 12:69. Thompson, 12:76. This is by far a shocker for me. I knew Megan could potentially win, but I didn't know 12:3 was in the legs. Oh my, look at that. She got out. That is a lovely start. Flying over these hurdles here. The efficiency there. Akira Nugent running well as well. Amoy Brown moving too. So kind of front on view there. She may have hit one there a little bit, just brushed it. Tapper, that is. Maybe hurdle 7. But nothing to throw her off. The emotion, she's on the ground, really crying. The 12:34 is big. She's now arrived in the sense of super elite. I keep saying it's impossible to call the global title on this. It's impossible to call any kind of high level competition on a week to week basis. It's just out there in terms of how good these women are. But when you start to push into the 12 threes, you're moving. Karika Hill 1269, Brown 1267. Look at this. Megan Tapper getting a big, big hug there from Leighton Levy. I'm going to text him right now. Yeah. Wow. Let me get back to the comments. Sorry, guys. That was, I mean, I knew Megan could win, and I had her between Akira there, but I didn't think a 1234 was in her legs tonight. That is outrageously good. Uh, Rich Boo had said, Mugen, time to shine. Uh, well done, Megan from Ferdinand Sherwood. I'm so happy for Megan. Didn't she lose her Puma sponsorship this year? I don't know the details. I don't know the details of that stuff, to be honest with you. No, it's not a world lead. The world lead is 12-17. And then 12-19 from Tia Jones. And then 12-24 from the world record holder, I think, something like that. I'll check in a second. It's hard to remember everything. We could see 11-6-9 in the hurdles at Prefontaine. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. It's in Oregon. That on Saturday is going to be wild. Yeah. My good friend Leighton Levy is just saying that. Yeah. He told her she would run 12:34. Sorry about that. Ferdinand says Kambunji beat Vessa. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. That was a good run. Yeah. No, that was a big, big run from Megan Tapper. Shout out to her. That's her showing up. Actually, that's her not even showing up. That's her living out her exact words. Exact words. Jenna, how are you doing? Gina, I'm sorry. Good evening. Who won the hurdles? Megan Tapper in a big, big PB. Let me put that on the screen for you right now, just so you can see it. Look at that. Tapper 12:34. Who asked about the sponsor? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it though. I'm sure would. Yeah, but I think so. Uh, yeah, that was a wild performance there by Megan Tapper. Really, really good. Look, we've said it all the time. You know, she's a history maker. You know, first Caribbean athlete there to get on a medal in the Olympics in Tokyo. Then had two of the fastest times you'll ever see not to make it into a final at the World Championships in Oregon and also in Budapest. And so now she's now stepped up in another gear, and that 12:34, I think, yeah, it's a signal there. There's a lot of time. She talked about her pulling out, kind of getting ready for the championships, trying not to be hurt. It's good to see her doing this. Yeah, it's I don't even know what to. Yeah, I forgot to talk about Grace Stark too when I said the 12:24. So it's 12:17, 12:19. So it's Russell Jones in Miami. Some might say that in Myanmar that might be too fast. They don't believe those times. It's sometimes that can happen. But Grace Stark to me, form of the season to 12:21 recently in Paris, and then Toby Amazon also dropped that 12:24. Akira Nugent with 12:30. And so Megan now is like the sixth fastest athlete in the year, fastest time for the year now, or sixth fastest athlete. Yeah. With her 12:34. We may see some different stuff on the weekend, as Asur is pointing out. Nike Prefontaine, Diamond League in Oregon. That should be spectacular. Let me get back to this. Let me get back to some of these comment. Ferdinand says 100 hurdles most competitive event in the world, 100%. It's anybody's race in the men's sprint hurdles tonight. I feel Broadbell might just take it. I think he has the edge, a slight edge, maybe a little bit more than a slight edge. Yeah. Eileen says maybe I'm asking a crazy, but I need to know if 4 persons can go to represent Jamaica on 100-meter hurdles, because the qualifying time is 12:73. 4 men, 4 women did on a. So Daniel Williams has the bye, and so we get 3 more. Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be Tapa Nugent and 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 Brown that will join Williams. And we can't get any more spots, even if the Diamond League winner were to be a Jamaican. Outside of these athletes, Williams would get the bye. Yeah. What's this? Alkush Rodney said, "How are you doing, Miss Charming Tapa on a lot of faith?" Yeah, really, really brilliant performance there from her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Series also confirming. Yeah, Jamaica will have 4 in the 100-meter hurdles. USA will have 4 in the 110-meter hurdles. They'll have 4 in the 100 meters for men and women, and also 4 in the 200 meters. Right? Yeah. And yeah, Jamaica should have 4 in the women's 200 meters. So yeah. Ferdinand says, "Thanks for watching along. I stayed up for the hurdles. It's 1:45 a.m. in South Africa. Good luck, Ashanti Moore in the 200. See you, Ferdinand. Get some rest. Thanks for coming on as usual." Yeah, so what's happening on the track now is the boys under 17 110 hurdles, and then it will be boys under 18 110. Then it will get to the senior race. Let me get back to your comments. I appreciate all the comments, guys. Don't forget to continue pushing them through. Yeah, it's really good. Rich Poo says, I think sprint hurdlers are undervalued / fully appreciated. Agree. Mm, by who? I don't know. It's an interesting question. I think they command these fairly good money. Personality wise, like Grant Holloway is a big personality. He gets a lot of money. Uh, a bunch of other people too. I don't know. I think the sprint hurdlers are fine. Uh, yeah. If you mean they're not appreciated for the level of stuff that they're doing, that's a different thing. I think sometimes it's difficult for people to understand how competitive that is. And we're in a space, let me just cap the point. We're in a space where we're seeing so many women doing things that we didn't think were possible, right? You look how long it took before the Don Cover world record went, and there was obviously Halle Pearson, a previous iteration. There's all these Ludmilla Enquist, all these different people. Even when you think about the Jamaican crew earlier on with like Thompson, and there's also Michelle Perry, there was Dawn, there was before Dawn, there's all these different things. So it was always sprint hurdles was never short. You can go back to even early 90s, but the times that we're seeing now is outrageous, you know, outrageous times. I don't think we've ever seen this. I don't know if we'll ever what that might mean, and it's a reasonable expectation that it's only a matter of time for people to go sub 12 in the women's 100-meter hurdles. I think the world record for men could go, but that is tough still. The conditions have to be right. Some years ago, Grant Holloway went close, hasn't been close since. It, that is a tougher one to go, but it's certainly possible. This year we saw 12.87 from Cordell Tinch, so you never know. Uh, Sherwood says Akira is obviously talented, but she doesn't have the type of consistency that we see with Masai, for example. You never know which Akira will show up. I'm just glad the false starts are behind her. Yeah, to that point, I think that's true. But she's running a lot too, right? So I think she's in the mix. I get what you're saying. She looks good. She has it in her. That's the thing. I think she can do it. Whether she does it is a different issue. Hi Susan. Okay, yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah. Good night from TNT. TNT is my second my second spot. I love it there. I go there at least once a year. Well, I have to. Uh, yeah, Amasan gets a lot of money. Yeah, I don't think the women are struggling in the sprint hurdles in general. Kambunji gets a lot of money. Also, she also gets a lot of support from the way uh, Swiss Swiss association works. From what I understand, I have to speak to some people on this again. I haven't talked to the Swiss people in a while, but and then their Switzerland is such a rich country anyway, so their corporate support is huge too. So even if they're not giving the same level of money that Roger Federer would get in terms of like from Rolex or so, the Watt sponsorship for the Kambunji sisters are still pretty nice. So they're okay. Uh, let's see here. So in there's the high school guys doing or the 100-meter 110 hurdles at the moment. So yeah, hopefully that's a little bit better. Right. So that happened just now. The under 18 110 hurdles, and on the track now they'll have the 110 for under 20. So I'll watch that in a second, but I know most people are here for the senior stuff, I guess. Asir responds to Sherwood saying, Masai does not have any consistency. She only won the US Championships and the Olympics. She has not won a single Diamond League. Yeah, I, I don't know how to think about consistency in the 100-meter hurdles because anybody can win. It's that tough. If you had to say someone who's most consistent this season, it would have been Grace Stark, and Grace probably would have been undefeated if Daniel didn't pip her in when she hit the hurdles late in, wasn't in Shanghai or in Xiamen, one of the China Diamond Leagues there when she lost early. But the most consistent so far this season is Grace Stark in terms of how well she's hurdling. She has a few technical stuff there because she's not particularly tall either. So and she moves across the hurdles really fast. But she's been the most standout to me. Yeah. Sherwood responding to us, Siri. Only the Olympics, well, she should aim higher. I don't think he means it like that though. I think it's hard to be undefeated in the hurdles. It's very hard. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to be undefeated. You're like the 12-17 is a fraud. All right. The con the conditions were good for sprinting there, you know. Really good for sprinting. And also, you have to be honest. The wind was really fast. When the wind is blowing that fast in hurdles, they don't like it. They rather run into, in no wind. It doesn't throw them off. Sorry about that, Rich Paul. I keep messing up your name. Uh, I appreciate that. I'm shocked by the lack of 200-meter men's quality. Being proficient in that event will be great. Its own right and prep for the 100. Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while. When you look at even the number of athletes who enter the competition and pulled out of that, I am. I think in the years to come, if we could go out on a limb, maybe at the likes of a Brian Level, Christopher Taylor could start to mix with the elite. Maybe if you get back Hudson and if Hudson can come back, Andrew Hudson, maybe you get a couple of those guys with the capability of going sub 20. I suspect that could change things around. But I'm with you. I think Jamaica on a whole, they should do much better in the 200 meters. Even on the women's side too, they haven't really pulled up anything big time on the women's side outside of Sharika. In terms of the numbers, not yeah. So that those are areas to work on. Now the 200 meters on the global level is extremely competitive, extremely competitive. Uh, Especially in terms of getting to the medal podium. You look at the likes of, I think for the next how many years to come, we're looking at probably a dominance of Let's see Tobago. Kung Fu Kenny should be in the mix. I don't know where his ceiling is. We'll see what you get from Noah. He's been injured, but he's been the standout in the 200 meters for a very long time. Hasn't run a really big fast time since he started to double, but that's where that's that's where you get to see, you might get an emergence of a gout in years to come. don't know where to put him yet in terms of what to expect, but he's certainly exciting. So one for the future. There is the Aaron Knighton hasn't necessarily kicked on the way you would want, but he's still young, and he also has he has some troubles right now, kind of fighting off his appeal by AIU. But anyway, so we'll see. There's some interesting things there. Asira says, "How can you have 2.0 and no one crashing the hurdles?" Yeah, that was interesting to me. I have to be honest with you. When I watched that, I couldn't believe it either. But it's one of those things. Sometimes it happens. Okay, all right. I'll do my best on that, Susan. Uh, you know, and Asira says, extraordinary time in the women's 200 at the. Yeah, that was wild today. Best two running really well, breaking the record of the Spanish national record that was set for many years ago. And so she looked good. I watched her race 22:19, uh, point 0.8 wind. Pretty nice today. And you have to think she could run into better form, trend down. By the time you get to the World Championships, she might be looking to go 22 flat and below. But big national record there for um for best two. So yeah, that was some good stuff there. The European Championship team thing is interesting to me. I didn't expect to see all of that good stuff there. Track for all. What are your predictions for women's relay in a 4x1 and 4x4? I don't know yet. It's kind of interesting to say. I think 4x USA starts favorites for both. I think. Uh, I think the Netherlands in the 4x4 as well. I don't know. 4x1 too. Team GB could do something. Uh, I think the Jamaican women, if they get things right, should be on the medal podium, but they have to get it right. They have to do. It's not. I think the speed will be there. Given what we saw the other night, eh, there's some ability there. It's just whether or not they get it right. Yeah, I have to think. I need some more time to think through this as we get closer. In the context of what you might see with athletes and their performances, especially over the 400 meters. Uh, it's tough, and the men's side is also interesting. I think the Jamaican men should also feature once if they can get qualified. They need to qualify, but a lot of teams are running well. Teams gonna come there with good baton exchanges as well. It's interesting. 4x4 is gonna be a cracker, depending on the fitness of Botswana. They could pull up something there. If I don't know what the state of Endure is right now. If he's back, if he'll be back in any kind of shape. But the Botswanan athletes should be on the podium. South Africa, I think, might be on the podium to imagine if you even can throw in a Wade van Niekerk if he get back into shape. He could probably do something there. I expect them 4x1 for men to South Africa should be on the podium as well. I think it's going to be competitive, right? They have a bunch of guys that can do stuff and they'll organize well. Yeah, the USA obviously over 4x4 should be comfortable. You think about how they will set it up and they'll throw Rai Benjamin on it, and yeah, they'll be fine there. Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, yeah. I guess in the coming weeks we'll do a big prediction show before the World Championships, right? And we have a lot of time for that. But yeah, yeah. Michael Nemhard, how are you doing? Sharika cannot collect the baton well. and she would be best on starter. I he- Number one is that it's kind of baffling that is a thing. I don't think it is a thing though. But we've seen some collections like if you even go back to 21, the the exchange between her and Eileen was far from ideal, and uh I don't know. I if I said it the other night, if I had to run the team in terms of a lineup, like what we would pick, I would have to start with Fraser Price still. I don't think the top end speed is there again as usual to run any other stretch. We'll see maybe by the time you get to the Olympics. But the thing is that Fraser Price will run any leg you ask her because we know there's history in terms of organizing the lineup of those teams. But you go with her, you put now I think you have to put one of the Clayton sisters on the anchor. Well, obviously, I think you're putting one on the ankle for sure. I mean, Sharika could run a bend if you want. She could also run the back stretch, but I would probably curve her, put her on the curve. I just don't know. No, that's not Daniel. That was who's you mean Daniel Williams you're talking about? Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. Okay, my bad. Sorry. You mean in the yeah, he did. My bad. I didn't even watch it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I missed it at total. I'm just seeing the results there. Sorry, Belmas. I didn't even look at it. Daniel Clark just ran 12:96 in the boys final. That was like, oh my. I didn't even look at it. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, so 4x1 is going to be tough. We'll see. I mean, the GB will be around. Spain might be. I think you can't count out the Spanish either. They'll have something cooking in terms of performances for relay. Even the Dutch could structure a decent 4x1. So it's hard to know. The men's senior 110 hurdles on track right now, and that's coming up. But I missed the Daniel Clark run there, to be honest with you. I didn't look at it. I have to see it if they replay it at some point. Daniel Clark is a schoolboy and just ran 12:96, I think. I could put that on. Let's see. That was the. Let me get that on the screen. I didn't put that up. That was. Yeah, Clark run 12:96 ahead of Romario Gibson there 13:58. That was outrageous. So the big news is Rashid Broadbell did not start for the final of the 110-meter hurdles. So no Rashid Broadbell. So it's going to be Campbell, LaFrance, then Jerome, Orlando Bennett, Tyler Mason, Demar Prince, Hansa Parchment, and Jaheim Stern. So I think with no Broadbell, I'm gonna go with Bennett. I'm thinking Bennett should pull this off. I mean, Parchment, you never know. You could you can't count him out. He could be in the mix, but he hasn't had such a stellar performance this season so far. And well, the thing just chipped on me to the end of the race here. What the hell is this? Excuse my language. I think this TVJ or one spot thing is causing some issues. I'll get to your comments in a second. It looks like Orlando Bennett won this in 13-10, guys, because the results are coming up on my screen, but I didn't see the race. It just moved from them in the blocks to the end of the race on the app. I have no idea what happened. Orlando Bennett, they're doing a replay now. Look at that. Bennett coming out like looking really good there. Tyler Mason also pushing. Parchment way at the back, just hitting hurdles. Every hurdle answer Parchment hitting there. Oh. And Prince was coming down really fast too. This is really good running there. 13-10. I'm just watching on a slow motion replay here. 13-10, 13-12. Tyler Mason there as well. 13-22. Orlando Bennett has arrived, guys. 13-10. Pretty good. 13-12. And 13-22. The win is legit. Yeah, Parchment is gone, Paulette. He's Broadbell didn't show up. I think he applied for medical exemption. That's what they're saying. And so as long as he can show full fitness again, he might get that third spot from Tyler Mason. But that's a big run there from Bennett. Robert says 1296 legal win. Yeah. Truck for Hall says Jamaica 4x1. Fraser Price to Tina to Williams to Jackson. I don't. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, Jodine could run a curve. I don't know. Yeah. Rich Paul that says he said no Broadbell. Yeah. Sherwood says I no longer watch your 4x1. I'm sick of us treating them like an afterthought. Just hopes and vibes. We string the teams together last minute, spit to us behind our backs and cross our fingers. I don't know. I mean, it's much more complicated than that, clearly, right? Yeah. But I know what you're saying. You're also saying poor Parchy. Yeah. Sorry for Hansa Parchment, but at 35, he was hitting a lot of hurdles here too. Not to make the teams has it's tough for him, but yeah, it's good that other guys are coming through as well. So yeah. Susan says, "Is it something against Masai? Man, check the young lady's mindset and give her props." Okay, yeah. I mean, I think I guess you're responding to somebody else around Masai early. Yeah, Masai is top class. She and Akira used to run a lot in college, and it was also yeah. I like Masai a lot too. Yeah. Rich Paul says, "Can we handle a track sprinting top four for our Mount Rushmore males? I'll put Carl Lewis, Bolt, Maurice Green, Michael Johnson." You mean over both events? Those things are hard to make, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're going through sprinting, though, I don't know. I think if you're doing double events, Mo Green doesn't feature for me in the doubles. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I always think about these things. It's really hard to make those things up. Like how far back you go? Do you go to Jesse Owens? Do you go to do you go to the 1960s, 50s? That's the kind of interesting stuff. Paula says Tina and anchor. Like Tina has to anchor. Yeah, I agree with that. Uh, I think Sharika should run the curve. If she's in great form, no one can run a curve better than her. And yeah, you put Fraser Price to start, and who knows if Tia gets back fit. Last night we were talking about it, or the night before, maybe she could try to win the Diamond League. It just depends on the severity of the injury. But if you win the Diamond League, you get in. Yeah, that too. I could see that. Yeah, yeah. So you put what, Williams on the curve right now? I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know. So the thing is how they're gonna pick the relay pool. I'm not sure what they'll do. They'll have to they'll open it up for who they want to put in the pool. Beyond that, I think it's what's it, the first four they pick or first three, and the rest is up for discretion or something like that. So they'll probably make a pool, but you imagine Williams should be around. You imagine there's Smith. You could go to Alana too in the pool. Yeah, Ashanti Moore could get in the pool too, if depending on what she does tonight too, right? So apparently Broadbell fell in the warm up and injured himself. So that's why he applied for a medical exemption. So yeah, who knows what Kemba Nelson could do as well. You could get her in the pool. I don't know what they'll do for the relay pool. That's going to be an interesting thing. We'll wait. We'll wait for that. All right. So in I think a Masters 200 meters are going to be on the track soon. After which they'll start an international 200 meters. Then they'll do a boy for girls and boys. Then they'll go to a women's international 200 meters, a men's international. Then the girls under 18, boys under 18, girls under 20, boys under 20, and the senior 20. It's the senior 200 meters and the men. So the last two teams to make the world championships will kick off at 9:05 and 9:15. So we're looking about an hour-ish, a little less than an hour. I don't know who structured the program like this, but that's how they do it. Were you a big fan of GST? I was for the financial opportunities for the athletes, but the omission of Holloway, Lyles, Teboga, and Co. plus the two race format was too much of a gimmick. Thoughts? Uh, let me say that I'm always in favor of athletes getting high quality paychecks, but sports is a business, so you have to figure out a way to do it. Actually, we have an interview that should come out. I, with the guy who broke the story, or one of the guys who had gotten the tip on the LA cancellation. Uh, I don't know if I would first. Let me go to the second line about omissions. I don't think there's an omission there. I think it's an inability. It was they couldn't figure it out, right? They couldn't work out the deal. I think they reached out. Lyles is on public record saying that he got approached prior to winning in Paris, and he didn't see they weren't paying him the money that he wanted. I guess appearance fees wise, that's pretty much what he's saying, and he also didn't get a sense of. I guess he didn't like the marketing too, so he wasn't sure he would have gotten the additional recognition. I think the Dutch guys didn't come through too. I think they wanted Femke, but the Femke's coach didn't like the structure in the sense that if they signed on, they didn't want to be tied down to all of those events too. Didn't have Ingebrigtsen either. So I think that's also an interesting thing. So there's money. You got to pay these athletes to be a part of it. The bulk of the money went to Sidney McLaughlin, I think, in terms of getting her to sign on to the league. Now, the I, I don't. I think the two race format is fine. I'm not against that. I think the slams are too long too, and in terms of 3 days, a bit drawn out for not having enough competition going on. So part of that, the spectacle wasn't as cool as I would like it, but other people might say otherwise. There, my biggest issue was the inability to attract audiences beyond the people who generally follow track and field. And I've been saying this for a long time in the sense that when you think about sport or track and field, you cannot rely on the hardcore fans if you're going to make money and pay that kind of money, right? So 100K is a lot of money for winning a slam. And then that doesn't include athlete relations and whatever signing bonuses I suspect you had to create for the likes of a McLaughlin or a Dos Santos or you name it, right? That they had to pay out on that. They were bleeding a lot of money. And so that is unfortunate. And I don't think it hit, right? It had to hit also in the United States big time. There's no eyes on it in the sense that there's poor turnout everywhere, right? Second, they got a decent amount of people in Philly in the end, but still not to the level of like filling out Franklin Field. Franklin Field is a 52,000 stadium. So, but they got people through the gates, but by then they were already out of money. And so, and the TV revenue wasn't coming in. They didn't really have that as far as I understand. And so, and people aren't watching it the way you want, right? So, if you're a track and field fan, you'll watch anything, and you will try to find these things. And it wasn't hitting outside of the the track and field space. We'll drop an interview soon with a sports business journalist, and kind of give a little sense of what he was thinking about there on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would like for it to work. I I don't know. We'll see. Sherwood 9991. Let's see if the coaches free up the athletes for the relay practice and qualification. Yeah, that's also interesting. There's a Barbados event coming up, right? Is that the first attempt to qualify? And then is London on the target to the London Diamond League? So that's another option. Michael says, whenever we use Jackson to start the world, the record will be broken. The world. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we're anywhere close to breaking that world record. That world record is hard now to go sub 41. Jamaica should have broken the world record in Tokyo. I said it. A lot of people are cursing me out for that, but that was a big opportunity to do it there. At that point, you had three women running some ridiculous times. Yeah, so and capability. So, but we'll see. Susan says Fraser Price twin, Sharika twin. Yeah, that would be great if it could, if both twin, if we can get all of them healthy. Rich, let me press you. Where's that? Sell me slash US the value of seeing Roberts, Tinch Cunningham running a flat, or Paulina Nasser over 200-meter. Athletics is in need of a shakeup. I don't know if there's any value there in the way you are asking it. I think seeing Nasser and Paulina running over 400 meters is fabulous. Yeah, I give it to you. You know, seeing Sydney run with them too is interesting. That would be cool, right? You know, uh, yeah, the 100 hurdles guys running each other. I mean, you saw some okay times, but they're not gonna run sub 10. I get that part. The question you have to ask, and trying to be I want to give it justice. So I always caveat the thing, and I shouldn't be caveating anything because people know I want the sport to succeed. The question you have to ask is if it was built as an event to save the sport, right? This is what they said. I know some of that is marketing. You have to read between the lines. It says only the fastest. Those are good taglines. The question you have to ask is, was it more competitive in terms of what you would see from the Diamond League? And the answer to that is no, because they had great athletes, but sometimes when you look in a lane, and especially in the Philly meet or so, some of these people are like, why are they there, right? You know, they wouldn't line up in a Diamond League final, in a Diamond League race, you know. So, it, and obviously, the Diamond League is a richer event in terms of how it's organized from an individual league standpoint. And they can go after certain athletes, and they go and they must do certain things. There are moments when I watch when you watch Grand Slam, it doesn't look much better than a continental tour. And so a continental tour can be a great meet. Like Ostrava is outrageous, right? You'll get a lot of people in Ostrava, you know, you'll get a lot of people in one in the Netherlands or so. You could have some of those legacy meets that are classified as continental and still have a lot of people. I still have a lot of high profile athletes. So you go and you say, all right, let's look at the 400 hurdles, and you can throw the Santos in it, and you might throw a couple other people, and they're good, the Rashawn Clark, and you could see a few, but then some you're like, okay, maybe not, right? And so you would get at least three or four in a Diamond League, in some Diamond Leagues, not all of them. But so I don't know if it separated itself that way as a spectacle. I think they were trying to be innovative by doing this compete over a couple events to see how it works. Again, I'm fine if it works. They're not appealing to me. And they probably shouldn't be appealing to you or anybody or most people on this channel, because you might already like track and field, right? That is the thing. For me, for that to be successful, it requires you to appeal to people who are casual observers of the sport. The sport of track and field, as you rightly know, and a lot of people might know, is built on an Olympic schedule. It is an Olympic sport. The Olympics captivates the biggest sporting event in the world when it happens. Everybody watches track and field. your casual observers watching it. A lot of people are in the stands. It's the most visited part, partially too because it's done in an outdoor stadium. We'll get to see how track and field ranks with swimming in LA because in LA the swimming is gonna be in a stadium, so they'll have like 60,000 people in the swimming too. So it will have a lot more people than before. And I've seen swimming in inside of stadiums like last year when the U.S. Championships happened for swimming. I had opportunity to go talk to the guys in at the Indianapolis Colts Stadium before they did it, and that's a dome stadium with no flood. They built the thing inside. It was amazing. So the what am I saying? It is an Olympic thing. The only way track and field will make a lot more money and make money that can then be transferred to the athletes in ways that they want or desire is if you can now create a set of fans that after the Olympics will transition into big time fans. They'll watch a lot, they'll want to see their favorite athlete running all the time, so on. We'll see, right? Atlas is coming up with their meet again at the end of the season and then hoping to launch something afterwards. It could work. There's growth in women's sports in the United States, in particular, a lot of startup sports in volleyball and in different things. Whether it lasts, we'll see. Perhaps I think one of the challenges for Grand Slam to go back to them is that they probably bit off more than they could chew in 1 year, right? They probably should have started a little bit smaller. They probably should have just focused on maybe one event or two, test it out, then go big time afterwards. You know, some people, they operated as if they're around for like 10 years. And in an American entertainment space, that is hard to crack. Club World Cup going on right now, and even FIFA is struggling because there's so many things to grab your attention. You look at CONCACAF as having their Gold Cup and no one's in the stadium. I mean, it could be the quality of the football, but that's a different story. And yeah, you know, love the Reasoning Sports Support Channel. Good people, back to athletics. One of the elephants in the room is the lack of field events in advancement. Yeah, I think I actually I said it before. I've been on record saying that I can't see how you run a track and field meet without field events. And you didn't have to bring all of them, but you could do long jump, you could do high jump, you could do something. So once a race happens, you go back. If you watch Grand Slam on TV, spectacle is poor, right? There's a bunch of guys talking and the intimate access to the athletes. I get that part. People want to know what they're dressing like. They want to know what they're eating, their favorite this. I'm not really interested in that, but I'm not the guy you're trying to sell that to. So I get that part. I like that. I think that's good. But you want to have, when you go to track meets, it's just constant, something else. Someone might be lining up in the blocks. You can look aside and you see something else, right? I think they missed that kind of a end-to-end element there, but we'll see. Right now, there's some 200 meters going on for, I think that's under 19 boys, I think, or under 18 boys. I'm not even looking really. I'm just talking out on the comments, but let's see. Rabi Williams says our country should have a pool of funds to support track and field annually. Yeah, so I agree on that. There's a number of ways to process that. How do you make money from track and field, right? And how do you then in turn create structures to develop grassroots track and field and support existing athletes, and even potentially think about ways to transition them outside when they're finished with their athletic career. Not all of that should be the, should be the responsibility of governments or associations, because at the end of the day it's technically a professional sport, not a great one in terms of remuneration if you aren't the best of the best. To create these funds, there are different ways to do it. There are lottery money. There's, the GB has a good system. The APA system. Other places have that. You can structure that, right? The government can do. Uh, uh, they could do that. They also can force the when you do the contracts for, like, say, Puma, whatever happened to the Adidas contract, no one knows, or offer, you can get money out of that. You also have to have people who are in development inside of the organization. Now, granted, it's like a volunteer structure, how they do it in Jamaican setup. They probably need to hire a proper CEO. They may need to shift the model. You need development people who can, and by development I mean in fundraising, gathering. You need to get people who are skilled at brokering and negotiating these big time deals, and that's their job to do. Because some people might not like this word, but the track and field is a brand. It's a business. Out the Jamaican name is a brand slash business outside of what that might mean for you from a nationalistic standpoint. So that's the part you got to make money on, and you have to figure out how to do that. Then put in different programs. The thing you don't know is the lack of transparency and those things, and maybe the bylaws or the way in which they operate. They don't have to tell you. Journalists ask some tough questions. They don't get answers to them. And are are there investment funds on the money that gets returned back from World Athletics, or the money that's shared from the Jamaica Olympic Association or so? How does it work? I don't know. I think you got to get that out in a sense. Yeah. But there needs to be something in place. Otherwise, it's going to be increasingly difficult for people to stay in the sport. And if they want to stay in the sport, they might be more likely to leave and go somewhere else. Sabrina Dockery here on screen, fabulous athlete here. Susan says, "Can I ask if you expect a resurgence of Elaine?" You, I do. I don't know. You hope. I don't know. Uh, we don't know. They are not saying anything. Mm, it's like top secret with what's happening. So until we, yeah, have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to speculate. The only speculation I have is what I hear in the behind the thing, and I can't say what I hear because I don't have any way to verify it, and so yeah. Uh, okay, I guess Sherwood was asking. She's like, sure, my hopes and dreams. Yeah, you want her to finish on her terms too. But we'll see. Rabi says a deep reset and rethink of our model is needed. The model that worked 10, 20 years ago is redundant. Any business model that's not innovating and adapting will go out of business. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, look at this. Samaya Brown is running a lovely curve there. Dockery not running the best of curve. She'll have to work here. She's not going to win this, Sabrina Dockery is. She won't win this. I'm Docker doesn't win this, but I think the athlete the high. This is not a Jamaican athlete. Fatuma Khan is from she is at OSU. She's not a yeah. So Docker probably wins this by right. I don't think this woman is not a Jamaican. Anyway, that was just the under 20 girls there. more comments here. A great and interesting point, Ruby. Jamaica has a terrific reputation, kit colors, and history to translate to monetizing the brand. It saddens and surprises me when athletes go destitute. Yeah, you don't want people who look. The feeling of it is interesting, right? So in the United States, no one really cares about what happens to these Olympic athletes in the end, right? But they also don't get the same level of love that you would get in a Great Britain or even in like in Jamaica, right? Like so that's why, right? You know, there's a different fervor around track and field. Yeah, they need to do something. There are models for this too. I don't think there's anything they have to do that need to reinvent the wheel. But number one, I think they have to professionalize the the association. It and that doesn't mean you don't have the same people running, right? So you just need professional management of it, right? In the sense that you could still have a president, you could still have all these people who are there, but people who are important for getting the sport to a next level because it's you need that. So we can have another show on that at some point. Yeah. Oh. All right. So we're still waiting for the obviously the two final events that will come up for the 200 meters. Right now we are there is the under 20 boys now will run the 200 meters, I think. I don't know how many people are there for that. Yeah, so it's let's see who's this. Antonio Powell, Zachary Cox, Sanjay Seymour, Junior Gallimore, Jaheim White, Ramalda Smythe. He's here. Uh, Sawain Carr and Nicholas Robinson. So those are the guys who will contest that. And then after that, we'll get the women's 200 meters and the men's 200 meters. And the Jamaica National Championships will be over. Let me get back to some more comments. The sport is now where professional amateurs and volunteers can't be expected to carry this to the next level. Look at the business model internationally. No, it is true. I mean, I think you have to make some big choices, and you also have to make choices for that may not bear fruit in your time, right? It's going to be long term structures that need to be in place, and there's gonna be a situation starting this year. I haven't gotten a chance to say much about this. My prediction on this is we are gonna start to see less scholarships available for track and field. It's already happening in the at the power at the in the Power Five conferences in Division One here in the or Power Four now in the United States. So as many people know, starting this fall, Power Four conferences, Big Ten, SEC, and so on. These all the institutions here have to carve out $20 million to pay the athletes across the sport. They haven't developed how they're going to do it. A couple of years ago, we started to see NIL. Now the House versus NCAA case has been adjudicated. Money is going to start to flow. There's a lot of different things that's going to happen. There are some schools already that's already cutting their track and field programs. We even saw when we had a pandemic some years ago, some of that was under issues. So it's going to be increasingly revenue generating sports or profit generating sports are going to be the ones that suck more money and take much of the resources. And Olympic sports are starting to struggle. And so by default, what's going to happen there is you're going to have less availability, and that's also going to hurt athletes who many of the Jamaican athletes or Caribbean athletes or even African athletes get scholarship, and they use track and field as a mechanism to have a different future, whether or not they want to be professional or not, but just to get an education, and that's going to struggle. We can talk more about that another time, kind of intricate details around that. But I'm seeing it already. I'm seeing that already. Some people who I I think Washington State just cut part of their track and field program. They won't have any uh, parts of that's already cut, and that's they're in what, Pac-12, I think, or so, and they had a whole realignment thing, or Big 12, or whatever they used to call it. And yeah, it's interesting, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna hit people getting the scholarships, and it's gonna be a problem. Uh, let's see. We need to take a deep inward look of what we do, schools, past students, parents, and athletes to continue to carry the cost of burden of development and sustainability forever. Yeah, I get that. I think, but that needs a clear plan from the organization, right? When you think about what's happening, it has to be a world class institution that will develop world class talent and make sure it works. It's has to adapt with the times. It's not some of the stuff that continues to happen even in the midst of success, plane tickets or you not structuring the training stuff right. Those things can continue to happen, but we'll see. Yeah. Rich Paul says, athletics needs personalities and rivalries like football or cricket rather. I love both. Love Jakob Ingebrigtsen versus Josh Carr. I guess Curry, you're saying, are Jamaican athletes too bland or scared to sell themselves and challenge? Like, no, I don't know. I mean, one, you can't force stuff that you don't have. Personality is personality. It can be changed. It can be, some aspects of that can be coming out. Yeah, you need a lot of training also on media and and social media management of that. College athletes here get it a lot. There's actually a lot of courses on that for them in terms of not actual classes, but seminars and sessions on that. NIL collectives also run these things so they can earn a little money here and there. So you see it with the basketball players, football, women's sports, all of that. You see it. They make they get small stuff. They monetize things from selling happy birthday or Mother's Day stuff. You have to be comfortable in that space and do it. And if you might want to do it and lack the skills, so it requires a training. It's something that can be learned in terms of how to properly market yourself. You're not going to get a personality like Shellyan or say or you saying or it's a difference, right? Those things, most of that probably comes from a different area, but best believe they had to work on it or tap or tweak it in ways to attract the kind of you know sponsors that they may want or so. It's yeah. I guess there's a side conversation with Sherwood and Susan, and I missed it, so I don't know where to pick up on it. Susan is saying, I believe the abundance of negativity she got from some. Oh, I guess you're still talking about Elaine there. Robbie, the National Lottery used to be a source of funding. It's not beyond us to sit down and innovate our way out of the financial challenges. No, I think you're right on that. I had asked, I think what Leighton had said to me, because when we spoke about it recently, because I don't know the setup of how that works. And he said that they had the budget for the SDF had been cut because they used some of the sources of the fund to go elsewhere. So yeah, I think that that's a conversation that the various stakeholders need to make. I think the association needs a lobbyist too, probably in maybe not in the context of the American setting, but someone who can apply the necessary pressure, understand the negotiating on the government side, because you have to work with them, and then you need people who are working strictly with corporations, local, international, the big companies, all of that stuff. It needs work there. Yeah. One of our truths is that we do not have a private sector with the capacity to finance and sponsor sports in a real way. The answers are right at our fingertips, but we are lazy and need to get, I guess, creative. I mean, mm, I don't. I don't want to use words like lazy or so. I don't know. I think that might be a harsh indictment, but you might be right. I don't know. I will say that you have to have the right personnel to do the things you want. One, you have to know where your shortcomings are and then find the people to do it. The talent is exists someplace to do it. You could hire the right professionals for it, you know. Yeah. I'm certain they might be already in the local landscape. You can get people there. Or you have to import and or do something, but I don't know. It, yeah. Yeah. But it requires evaluation. One, you have to first recognize you have a problem. I think there's segments that recognize that. The people who need to recognize that is a different story. Sherwood says Jamaican athletes definitely don't lack personality. They're full of vibes. Culture plays a big role. You won't see many of our athletes acting like Noah or his female counterpart. Okay. Uh the Yeah, I think a lot of people have personality. You can There's no ready fit way for things, right? I don't know. So just two events left before the Jamaica Championships are over from a senior standpoint. Another comment here. I am on record for bigging up Noah Lyle's incredible feat of becoming World Olympic 100-meter champion. When you've got Kishane Thompson, Simbini, Civil, and co about the right stuff is real. I agree. Yeah, Noah is not everybody's cup of tea. He does what he has. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's appealing to to a certain level of a fan base. I think he fights a different battle too. I think Noah fights a battle too where he wants to be on the same level as NFL or NBA players or major league baseball players, because he feels like the stage he commands and the stage athletics commands, especially in Olympic year, is second to none, and he's right on that part. It's just that he's matching up against juggernaut of a sports. The NFL is the biggest thing in sport here, and college sports is also huge. And then obviously you have the other big sports, so basketball, baseball, hockey. I think he's more mad with American press too, that he doesn't get the kind of press that on a day-to-day basis. It's like a cultural shift that's necessary to crack the US market, but eh, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. I have ideas on that, but it's like that's not for tonight. Rabid says we are in 2025. We are using a model that was designed for 20 years ago. In other words, that world no longer exists. It's like analog and digital. Hard reset is absolute necessary. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it requires some serious thinking. It requires innovative thinking. I mean, I think also even at the head of world athletics, right? I still think that Sepko missed a trick to when once he took over from uh what's his name, Lamin Diak. He's done a lot of reform in the sport. I guess he'll go down on the gender question. There's all sorts of different things of reforms he's done, but what he's not done enough is to expand the sport to capitalize on some of the tremendous all-time great athletes that came throughout his tenure. I mean, I don't know. And whoever becomes the next president of World Athletics, the first person they need to hire is the people who get the Premier League contract or hire some team from the NFL contracting teams. You know, you need big people who negotiate massive TV right contracts to think about what you can do to sell those things, and not only sell it but also how can you rearrange the structures of the championships that they have under their control, which is the World Athletics Championships. And starting next year is the Ultimate Championship. Can they remodel the Ultimate Championship into a spectacle that a lot of people who aren't track and field hardcore fans are, can they turn around and watch that? You know, yeah. All right, so the 200 meters are coming up soon. And I'll just remind everybody and thanks for hanging out, guys. We remind everybody of the starting lineup, which is going to be Shania Douglas. Such a lovely young athlete there. Lots of promise. Brianna Williams, Naisha Berger, Gabriel Matthews, and uh, Ranisha McGregor, Ashanti Moore, Kemba Nelson, Jodine Williams. It's going to be an interesting final. It would be nice to see women going in the lower 22s. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but stranger things have happened. Lewis, he has Kemba with exclamation. So that's scheduled to go off at 5 minutes after the hour. There's a shot right now of Brianna Williams. Look, she's already ready. Tracksuit off, psyching herself up. Others are getting into the mix. Ah, that's your old teammate from Oregon. Yeah, Kemba had a great year, great time in Oregon. Hasn't reached the heights since she left Oregon. Hopefully, she had some injuries. Hopefully, she'll get back to that. She was part of that great World Championship relay team too. Yeah. Well, you guys got an opportunity to be at in Oregon when they all redid the stadium and everything. So it's a wonderful stadium. Sherwood 991 says it's funny Though that World Athletics have suddenly found money for next year's world competition or whatever they call it, instead of investing that money into what we already have. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot there to talk about, a lot to unpack there, to be honest with you. A lot to unpack. We'll see. World Athletics has now moved to an end of year thing every year. So next year we'll see that event. It's going to be in Budapest, right? So I don't know what kind of TV rights are they selling. Yeah. Brian, what's up? 2271 for the win. Brian, we need another Wesley Hall from Barbados, Malcolm Marshall, somebody. See, West Indies decided to discard Kimar Roach, which I know his time is coming, but I don't like the way they did it. So, but that's another day for cricket. Uh, Rich, the 200 finals lineup, it's distinctly underwhelming. Do you think Williams is not going to win? Even in this lineup, she should, though, hasn't pressed on Go Kemba. Yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe don't count out Jodine Williams. She looked decent. I think Ashanti Moore, uh, probably, given what we saw, probably should have most in the legs. McGregor, I don't know. She just ran the 400 meters earlier, so that might be tough. Brianna doesn't have enough in the legs. She'll run probably a good curve. She'll get eaten up once you get on the stretch. It's hard to call, to be honest with you. I think Kemba, it would be good if Kemba could do something that would jumpstart her career again. Yeah. Then you'd have to be younger. Ruby, so we've had some great young ones coming up. The likes of Brianna Liston and Kerika Hill must be financed and support locally and ease the burden off the athletes and their families. Yeah, so Brianna turned pro, so she has a kit sponsor. Hopefully it works. It never really worked out at LSU. She had a lot of injuries. I'll be honest with you, I think Liston of I still think today, and people might disagree, in terms of talent over the both distances together, I think Brianna has more than, say, the Clayton twins. I think this is probably irresponsible of me to say, but if you were to think about it, like you could see a Brianna Liston like following like a Elaine Thompson path if it worked out the right way. Kerika Hill, super talented, probably, I don't know, best of the lot if you think about those talented athletes that were pushing through high school some years ago. I like her. I think she will at some day become, world class. It's hard not to see that. She made that kind of early effort to go, what was it, to go pro early or something like that. So fourth here in the national championships, 1269. I think there's a lot to wait for on Karika too. Just 20. You think she'll be a part of that generation with like Habiba Harris and all these other people coming through, and the back end of the likes of maybe the ones that are just in front of her now. So I don't know. Yeah. Kenneth, what's up? I feel Elaine has to go through with the Achilles surgery, just like Brummel. He took 2 years off for Achilles surgery. Elaine might as well face up to it and get it out of the way. I don't know. I mean, I suspect that if surgery was required, I probably would have said it. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. You don't want Achilles surgery if you can avoid it, though. But you also don't want to rupture your Achilles. It's not fun. I can tell you. If you rupture your Achilles, you're out for a year, literally. You can be back in 6 months now with all these high tech stuff. Even me got clear. I even got clear for 6 months, but it takes like 9 to 12 months to really reduce the chance of re-injury. But nowadays, the elite athletes have all these hyper chambers and they do all this fancy stuff that may or may not work. And they, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the extent to what the medical advice they get. So it probably out of my way. It would be responsible of me to comment on that. I, but I don't think you just want to go under the knife unless you have to. And then she's what? She just turned, how old is she now? 33, something like that. It, yeah, yeah. Robita agrees with me with Liston. I'm awaiting the 200 final sports. I detect you're not a fan of Mr. No, no, Elias trying. You can't. Nobody. What? No. I, when all is said and done, he may go down as the second greatest 200-meter athlete ever. The challenge is he hasn't won the Olympic title, so it's interesting. But he has a load of world titles. 19.3, really fast. He's also, he's done the double at or technical, and then the relay at the World Championship. He's the Olympic champion of 100. No, I mean, he's no. I, athletics wise, there's nothing to talk about. He's up there. He's elite by far. Not even elite. He's beyond that. He's probably the generation athlete this year. This in the how many years now? No, so I don't want to. Sometimes he dresses some way that I might not like, but I don't care about that. uh, yeah, I think Liston is if Liston stays healthy, get some serious coaching. Yeah, I think she made a decision to leave college early to focus on her career. That's the way I understand it. I think she'll be fine. So the women are in the blocks right now. Oh my God. Brianna Williams false started. She got out before the gun. Yeah, there was no gun, nothing. It's one of those false. This is not a reaction time false start. this is a it's a legitimate false start. Yeah, she's gone. So Brianna Williams gone. I know she's asking to run under protest, but I don't think that will happen. All right, so Brianna Williams gone. So they're now in the blocks. It's a good start right now. Ashanti Moore already making up a little bit of a stagger there, but Kemba Nelson's moving really good too. But she's getting, Ashanti Moore comes off the curve and she's now setting herself apart, trying to open up. Matthews is also running really well. And Berger is coming too. It's Ashanti Moore ahead of, I think, Matthews. And that might be Naisha Berger, McGregor, rather, it looks like. It might be McGregor. 22.66. Matthews 22.80. And McGregor rather 22.86. And Williams 23 flat. Let me see this again. Kimber Nelson got left. She ran a decent curve, but just didn't have anything in the legs. Ashanti Moore there, really powerful, fighting. Matthews there also, and it's McGregor there also fighting to get in the space. So 22-6, 22-8, 22-86. None of these are still times that would not get them into the world championships. So Ashanti Moore needs all three women here need to find let's see, what's Moore's times this year? I don't know. I don't think all of these women have the standard. I have to check to see who has the standard. Yeah. You need yeah, I don't have the thing right now, but I don't know who has the standard. I have to check that at some point. Uh let me get back to your comments. Rich, I told you about I mean, I don't know. She came out really early, which is I don't understand what happened there. Uh Robert says, hopefully Liston will continue to run for Jamaica. You hope. Uh, Ruby, Elaine should go to Turkey given her age profile and time to recover. Elaine go make some money, then retire. Be fine. I don't think Elaine is short on money, but hey. And shake my head. Oh, their pressure burst pipes. That's another thing. Brian, sadly, I think Brianna Williams peaked as a junior athlete. Uh I thought this year would be the year, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe another year or two with John Smith, and we see. I'm not willing to write her off yet, but I was expecting a much more improved athlete this year. One more year. Let's see. Let's give it another year. She's still young, so we'll see. 26-6, no comment required. That's from Rich. You guys on this Turkey stuff, yeah. Yeah, 22.55 is the standard. I was just trying to check to see how many athletes have the standard from Jamaica. I'll give it a quick check. I don't. My suspicion. I know McGregor has. Not McGregor. I think Dejanay Oakley has the standard, but I don't. But she's not running. Uh, Berger has the standard at 20, 22.39. Oakley has a standard. Sharika Jackson is the defending champion. Matthews has 22.59. So Gabrielle has a 22.59. So she needs to get on the circuit and try to run the time. She's very close to it. All right, so one event left for tonight, and that's the men's 200-meter final. Reed, Campbell, Taekwondo Tracy, Crooks, Brian Level, Christopher Taylor, Adrian Carr, and Kadrian Golson. I'm thinking it's going to be Level Taylor and Goldson. Maybe not in that order. Perhaps I wouldn't count out Goldson for second. I don't know where Brian actually is, given what we saw in the 100-meter final, and he didn't pull through the way. But he looked okay in the opening round yesterday, and also in the semifinal. He looked like he was running within himself. So let's see. Last chance for a prediction for the men's 200-meter final. Robert says Taylor not making the team. Let's see. Brian has 20:45 for the win. Sherwood, I really hope Level is not injured. I want to see what he can do here. Yeah, because look, he ran personal best in the 100 meters. I had him on making that 100-meter team. Never happened. He looked like an athlete that could have run faster. And he definitely has sub 20 rather in the legs. But we'll see. Rabit says those times speak loud as to where we are in the 200-meter women. Yeah, it requires a reset, but I'm less worried than I am with the men right now over 200 meters. But that's something that they really need to work on. All right, the guys are settling in the blocks right now. Let's hope for a good race, a healthy finish by everybody, and a fast time. So clean start right now. And Brian Level is already making up the stagger on Christopher Taylor. He's eating that up. And so Level comes off the curve about a meter and a half and is moving there. Taylor is coming back right now. Adrian Carr is motoring too. But Brian Level is the national champion, followed by Christopher Taylor. Adrian Carr looks like he's secured the third place. 20:10 is the official time. That's a pretty good run there from him. And I think there's more in the legs for Brian Level. Positive 0.9 win. 20:10. He can go sub 20. We know for sure he's not 100% after that 100-meter final. Christopher Taylor going 20:28. Carr 20.49. Kadrian Golson. I thought he had a shot, but turns out he didn't. 20:57. So Level already now. So Christopher Taylor has to go chasing for the qualifying time of 2016 and also Carr as well. Robbie said, this national trial is the best. This is the best of Jamaica. Robbie, we've had some reality checks when we couldn't field relay teams. We have some work to do. Yeah, right now the next step is they need to qualify for the 4x1 relay. I wouldn't be worried about the men's 4x1 at all. I think if they can qualify, once they qualify, that's the first thing. Qualify, and then it's about sorting out that team. But I would, you have Akeem Blake. He would have to start it for me. put a beak oblique on the back stretch. Brian Lever runs the curve for me here, and Kishane Thompson anchors. They got to go searching for a qualification. Sherwood 991 says, given that Cub is coming off a 3-year suspension, that was a decent run for him. Yeah, he's ran into shape. I was first surprised to see him in 100 meters. I was a bit shocked by that, but the only thing was I think he was trying to get his legs. I still think that if his body can manage it, he should try to do the 2-4 double. That would be good. It just depends on whether or not he can do that. Now, for him to get into some races, he has to get into some competitive races soon with athletes that are better than him right now, because he has to go chasing for that 2016. So you got to get shave off. You have to think he might be able to do this. He ran rounds in the 100 meters, rounds here in the 200. So if he can find his way into a couple meets, now is what, June 29. You have until August 24th to get the standard. He has to go for it. Likewise, Adrian Carr. It's a lot to shave off there. He has a PB here as 2049. But you give it a shot to make yourself to make it on a team. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Jamaica National Championships this year. Uh, Interesting stuff. Sprint men and women, they look really good for the 100 meters, rather. I am pleased for Brian Lavelle to come back from this. I like what I'm seeing from Ashante Moore. Some of these athletes need to go chasing, as I mentioned, for the times. 400 meters also interesting too. Some work need to be done there for the men to get the qualifying standard. I was happy that Nikisha Price went sub 50. We need her to get up back to that sub 49 by the time the World Championships runs into shape. That would be an important thing. Yeah. Jordan Scott continuing his work there. Mullins in the discus. So something to be looking forward to. Men's discus is ultra competitive, but you have to like that. So once they name the team, once they start to assemble some of this, we have to watch for some of these athletes to also build on this championship and progress. The likes of a Sharika Jackson need to round into better shape, and hopefully by the time we get to the World Championship, we'll see a woman that can definitely be approaching the 21.8s there. If she can get to those type of times, she'll be in the mix. Fraser Price, you hope, can also improve by the time you get to the World Championships, as it looks like there's 10-8 in those legs. So we'll see. Hopefully the Clayton sister gets fit. Hurdles in good shape too. I mean, the men showed up. Bennett, Price. Women's side, Megan Tapp, a big run for her. I really appreciated that run. 12-3. It suggests that she's responding to elite level competition or what is required to be an elite hurdler. So who knows? Sherwood says one of the many issues with the women's 200 meters is that many who can run faster than what we have seen tonight don't do the double. Yeah, it's true. That's true. It's true. But I I think the women will come back. There's a great tradition in the 200 that we should demand. Yeah, you shouldn't have a situation where Jamaica has 4 spots and we can't fill those spots. That's not good. Women should be pushing up into these finals. The tradition of the 200 meters is outstanding. Uh, it is outstanding. The Merlin Attis of the world, Grace Jackson, Gillette Cutbirth, Bev McDonald. Come on, VCB. For me, probably the second greatest of all time over 200 meters. If we look at the body of work, maybe Felix pips her a little bit. Sharon Sim, all these people, Fraser Price is winning 200 meters. Elaine, Sharika now with. We cannot be going to the World Championships and not filling the spots because athletes aren't making the qualifying standard. So hopefully they go chase that and that happens. Yeah. All right. Again, always appreciate you guys for hanging out. Thanks for liking the video. Thanks for subscribing and for being a part of the community. I'll be back soon again. We'll have some videos coming out in a short period and other stuff too. And yeah, I'll be doing a watch along again this weekend, pre-Fontaine. I'll try to come live before that again. But as usual, enjoy the rest of your evening and morning to wherever you are. For those of you that's not on this side of the hemisphere. But we'll see you soon. Enjoy and have a great week.